Welcome, adventurers. Today on Rebel Then King, I finally get around to doing a video about the changes to the Alchemist in Player Core 2. Now remember, the Alchemist is quite near and dear to me. It is the first class I played as a player. It is the first video I did. It is a class that I absolutely love in terms of its flavor and its fantasy, but have always had some pretty severe issues with its actual mechanics and gameplay. And I do think I can finally say that this class is fixed. The major mechanical problems are gone. It might even be a little bit too fixed, just too good now. And I will also say I don't necessarily love the way that it was fixed. In fact, I had quite a tough time wrapping my head around what the new changes actually were, and I sort of disagree with some of the design decisions. Though it works, I don't like how it works necessarily, and most importantly, I think it can be fixed with just like a single word or a few small edits here and there. So let's get into what this class does now and how I might describe it a little bit differently so that it is hopefully easier for everyone else like me who didn't quite get it at first to understand. Before we talk about what the Alchemist now is, let's talk about what it used to be. Remember, an alchemist used to use a system called infused reagents, which by the way is now completely gone. You would start your adventuring day with a number of infused reagents equal to your intelligence modifier plus your level. So for a level 1 alchemist with +4 intelligence, that would be 5. Now you could use these for either advanced or quick alchemy. If used for advanced alchemy, you could make 2 items for 1 reagent as part of your daily preparations. Those would last the adventuring day. Or you could use quick alchemy at any time and make 1 item for 1 reagent. And this sort of created a balance. And what it often meant is that at lower levels, you would run out of items before the adventuring day was done. And at higher levels, you would maybe try to advanced alchemy things, but wouldn't be able to carry them all. But you could become the party supplier. But then that maybe, I think, sort of made you feel like an NPC in just an inventory shop and not like a character with your own agency. And let's talk about what the Alchemist is now, starting again with advanced alchemy. And remember, infused reagents are no longer a thing. Advanced alchemy is simplified. At the start of your day, during daily preparations, you make a number of alchemical items equal to 4 plus your intelligence modifier. And these do have to be items that you know how to make, and they don't last forever, so you can't just keep making a bunch and stockpiling them. Let's compare this to how you would typically advance alchemy as an alchemist in the old rules to now. In the old rules, I would usually either make 2 or 3 batches of advanced alchemy reagents in the morning, so I would make 4 or 6 items, leaving myself the ability to quick alchemy a few times throughout the day. Well, now you just get to make 8 items, presuming you have a +4 intelligence, first thing in the morning, no drawback. That means that you already, just due to the new advanced alchemy, can make just about as much items as an old alchemist could during the entire adventuring day, and we haven't even got into the new quick alchemy system. Because the new quick alchemy system is a full guarantee that you will not run out of items during the adventuring day. Finally, this is really what the Alchemist needed. But this is also where I started to get quite confused by the rules and where I would strongly suggest some editing and wording updates. The first thing we should talk about is a new term called versatile vials. These are special items that can be used as bombs and be turned into other alchemical items by introducing special reagents. During your daily preparations, you create a number of versatile vials equal to 2 plus your intelligence modifier, which is also the maximum number of vials that you have. And then for every 10 minutes you spend in exploration mode, you regain 2 vials. Maybe it's easiest to think of this as focus points, and you have 6 focus points, and each time you refocus, you gain 2. Pretty much the same thing. Now, what can you do with your versatile vials? Well, first, you can throw them. just as they are, as a bomb to deal 1d6 acid damage plus 1 splash, and this does level up automatically up to 4d6 plus 4 splash at level 18. You can also do something very akin to the old Quick Alchemy and make an alchemical item with a versatile vial, and each research field has a special thing that they can do with their versatile vials, and we'll talk about research fields a bit later. And the number of different things that you can do with versatile vials and with the new Quick Alchemy action is where I started to get quite confused. Okay, I swear I'm not a dumb person. If you think differently, I guess let me know about it in the comments. I have decent reading comprehension. I took AP English Lit and I did well. Ich habe Deutsch 7 Jahren studiert. Ich habe manche Gedichte, Geschichte, Romanen auf Deutsch gelesen. Yo hablo español todos los días en mi trabajo. Yo todavía estoy aprendiendo. I can read music, like full orchestral scores. No problem. I read coding languages, like, I don't know, a dozen or more now. But I could not read and understand the new Quick Alchemy system. So I will do my best to explain the new Quick Alchemy system, rules as written, but also offer some slight, I mean very slight terminology changes and organizational changes that I think make it a lot easier to understand. Anyway, the first part of Quick Alchemy is a sub-option called Create Consumable. You use a versatile vial to make a consumable alchemical item, one that you know from your formula book. It's also short-lived, so you can't just keep stockpiling these. This, I think, is fairly easy to understand as it is. The second sub-option of the singular action Quick Alchemy is called Quick Vial. You create a versatile vial that can be used only as a bomb or for the versatile vial option from your research field, and we will talk about research fields later. This is also where I got really confused and where I think I would like to talk you through some key terms that I don't think are apparent and key wording differences that I would make. Okay, so I found it confusing that you have versatile vials, remember, equal to your intelligence modifier plus 2, which is also the maximum that you can have, and you can replenish these during downtime. 10 minutes, you create 2 new versatile vials, but there's also an action called Quick Alchemy, which has an option under it called Quick Vial that you can use to create a versatile vial in another way. And I thought, well, does that contribute to the max or is this different? I don't know why you would create a new versatile vial through Quick Vial if you already had your max, but the confusion began here. I also confused the terminology used as a bomb, which is not the same as made into a bomb. So you cannot use Quick Alchemy, Quick Vial to make a bottled lightning, for example. You would have to use Create Consumable for that. And I thought, but why exactly? Aha! I went and looked at bombs in the equipment tables to see that those types of bombs, not bombs that you throw as a versatile vial as a bomb, but a bottled lightning, an acid flask, alchemist fire, something like that, have the consumable trait on them. And Quick Vial does say, only in parentheses, it can't be used to create a consumable, for example. So I kind of had to cross-reference like the difference between using a versatile vial as a bomb and using a versatile vial to create a consumable, which is a bomb, due to the trait, marrying a lot of different pages of the rulebook together to finally get a picture of what was going on here. And ultimately, and I think this is the most important point, is that in discussions with my GM and others and watching videos about this versatile vial system and the Quick Alchemy system and trying to understand what exactly is what, I kept finding that we kept saying versatile vials and versatile vial you created through Quick Alchemy / Quick Vial. And here is where I'd find the design to be severely lacking. I found in life, in projects, in music, it doesn't matter, whenever you need to write out a sentence to clarify something that you're talking about, that thing needs a term. You're going to keep saying it over and over. It needs a formal name. For example, you don't go to your dining room and say, I'm going to sit at the table and I'm going to sit on the smaller table with a small back that is designed for sitting. That's a chair. We call it a chair. It's constructed remarkably similar to a table. It's kind of a small table. In fact, you often will put things on a chair, kind of serving as a table. But it has a different purpose and a different use, so we give it a different name. Similarly, I don't sit down with my band and say, do we do another verse here? Or is it the second type of verse where we all sing together and the chords are slightly different? That's called a refrain. It's a different part of the song and it serves a different function, so it has a different name. You can't just keep saying, versatile vial you created through Quick Alchemy quick vial over and over to distinguish it from other versatile vials. You do need to make a distinction because they are mechanically different. They need a different name, which Paizo did in an intro paragraph and then didn't reuse again. Additionally, I find it kind of odd that Quick Alchemy is a singular action that has two completely different options, for a lack of a better term, under it. I know that other singular actions have multiple sort of sections in their rules, like strike, for example, does behave differently whether you are striking from range or from melee or unarmed, that kind of things. But those are much more similar than the two totally different options, which are both part of Quick Alchemy as a singular action. And this is why I would highly suggest breaking Quick Alchemy, which is a singular action that is actually two totally different actions, and Versatile Vials, which is a singular item, which is actually two pretty different items, into two separate things. First, I would ditch the word Quick Alchemy altogether. It actually isn't serving a purpose for us here. I would then have a singular action, an action on its own called Create Consumable. Exactly as Create Consumable, the sub-option of Quick Alchemy is now. You use an existing versatile vial and you create a consumable alchemical item. Done. Then I would have Quick Vial as an option of its own. And I would first update the one reference that Paizo made to a short-lived versatile vial to simply Quick Versatile Vial. And then the rest would be the same. So I would say you create a quick versatile vial, not create a versatile vial, create a quick versatile vial to distinguish it from the other versatile vials that you have. And this, again, could just be used as a bomb or as the versatile vial option from your research field. And I would add another stipulation that says you can only ever have one quick versatile vial at a time. That would be it. So to kind of recap here, Advanced Alchemy, I would say no changes. That's good. I would make a singular action called Create Consumable. You create a consumable using an existing versatile vial. I would have a second action called Quick Vial. You create a quick versatile vial, which can only be used as a bomb or as the option from your research field. Note to editing self, put some graphics up to explain this stuff. And just a note about why I'm going so deep into the details of the text here. I sort of have a philosophy in life, in projects, in work that I'm doing. I'd rather have simple, self-evident solutions than well-documented chaos. And I feel like what we have now is well-documented chaos. It does hold up in the end. It just takes a long way to get there. And I would prefer something simple, elegant, easy to understand, and almost infinitely extensible. And I know Paizo can do this. For example, in some similar games, if you want to move on your turn, there's a time to do that. And if you want to strike, there's a time to do that. If you want to make a secondary strike, well, sometimes you can do that. And if you want to cast a spell, there's a time and there's a reaction. And we all know what I'm talking about here. And in Pathfinder, they said, on your turn, you get 3 actions. You can use those actions to take activities. Some activities take 1 action. Some take 2 actions. Some take 3. When I first read the rulebook, sat down, very first time, I instantly understood this. I instantly saw the ramifications of using a combination of a 1-action activity and a 2-action activity. And the action economy is still something that is talked about all of the time in the system, has not needed a change, and has not gotten boring at all. This is what I'm talking about. That is beautiful design, and I don't think that is what we got with the remastered Alchemist. And last side note, if you haven't noticed, I'm starting to talk more about the design of the system and not just the mechanics and gameplay. I didn't realize that would be such a focus for me, but I do think it's important. I definitely like the art of design, of organization, of creation as much as I like the outcome. It's not just the ends justify the means for me. I like the means as well. I like studying the means. So do I like the end? Do I like that the alchemist can now bomb all day? Absolutely. Do I like the means, rules as written of how they can do so? I think it leaves room for improvement. Tangents aside, back to a recap of advanced and quick alchemy and what alchemists can now do and the slight changes that I would make to make it hopefully a little bit clear. Advanced alchemy, you can make 4 plus your intelligence modifier items in the morning. Easy. The alchemist now also has 2 plus their intelligence modifier versatile vials, which they can create a consumable with using the create consumable option in the quick alchemy action, and these do replenish in your downtime. You can also create a short-lived versatile vial with the quick vial option of quick alchemy and produce versatile vials which are different than the other versatile vials. These can only be used as a bomb or the versatile vial option in your research field. And my suggestions for this to make it a little bit simpler would be advanced alchemy, great, leave it as is. Have a single action called create consumable. You use a versatile vial to create a consumable, and then a single action called quick vial. You create a quick versatile vial, terminology difference, that has to be used as a bomb or your research field options. Whew. Let's talk about research fields. All right, let's finally get into the subclasses, the research field of the alchemist, because a lot of these are just as big of improvements as the new quick alchemy system is. And I actually think this one is well organized, so I don't need to go into a tangent about how rules are written, not rules as written. You know what I mean? What does a research field do for you? First of all, at level 1, it slightly controls which formulas you will learn or have the ability to learn. At level 1, you also get a field benefit, which is a permanent bonus. And then you also get field vials, which is a special thing that each subclass can do with their versatile vials. And this is really cool. At level 5, you get a field discovery, which is another permanent bonus. At level 11, you get advanced vials, more things that each subclass can do with their versatile vials. And then finally, at level 13, you get a greater field discovery, which is another permanent bonus. Let's look at the highlights for each of the subclasses now. The bomber's field benefit is the same as before. You can choose to not deal splash damage when throwing a bomb, which does make it easier to use in a crowd. The field vials, now this is cool. When using a vial as a bomb, you can change the damage type to cold, fire, or electricity. This is huge. This means you have a replenishable, changeable source of damage to target weaknesses, get around resistances all day long. And then I also really like the 5th level field discovery, which completely replaces the old feat called calculated splash. You now will deal your intelligence modifier on splash damage, which is a huge damage bonus to the bomber. This was already, I think, the best subclass of the alchemist, and it did get even better. The chirurgeon was also a pretty good subclass in my opinion, that also got to be better and more fun. The field benefit is the same. You can use your proficiency rank in crafting for anything that requires a proficiency rank in medicine. So you are an intelligent healer. The field vials is ridiculous. It's so fun. Remember the old throwing, healing bombs kind of feat? Oh, that's just what the chirurgeon does at level 1. You can use your versatile vials as a healing bomb, dealing the same amount of healing that the bomb would normally do as damage. So 1d6 at level 1 scales up to 4d6. These can be used, if you would like, as a normal potion or elixir, consumed. But why would you do that when you can throw healing at your allies? And I think this is huge because one thing that the chirurgeon sort of lacked before was the ability to do some in-combat healing. You basically had to take battle medicine or make a bunch of elixirs and hand them out and hope that people drink them. Now, from range, you can heal. with a bomb. It's so fun. Now, the mutagenist is a subclass that I thought suffered quite a lot under the old system, and it is now fantastic. Okay, starting with the field benefit. When you consume a mutagen, you gain temporary hit points equal to your intelligence modifier. And finally, the mutagenist, who is supposed to specialize in mutagens, has an extra benefit over literally every other character in the game when they consume a mutagen. They are finally better at using mutagens than other characters. This is huge. The field vial is also very cool. You can drink a vial to suppress the drawback you take from one mutagen currently affecting you until the beginning of your next turn. And I think this is very cool that you can see alchemy counteracting alchemy, and then of course also having yet another thing that only the mutagenist can actually do with mutagens. And then I do want to talk about their field discovery too. You can choose to end the effect of a mutagen in order to re-roll a fortitude save. So again, it's sort of another effect that these mutagens have only on your body as a mutagenist and not on other characters. So finally, there are actual mechanical reasons for a mutagenist to use mutagens and not just hand all their mutagens out to their fighter. Now, the toxicologist, I thought, also suffered quite a lot under the same system because, let's just explain, you would use poisons, but, you would have to poison something, a weapon, and hit and land a strike, and then that thing would have to fail their fortitude save, or I think it would always be a fortitude save, but maybe there would be some other conditions there. And then, you would have to hope that that creature is not immune to poison damage. And that is a lot to stack up in your favor. And frankly, it's not unlikely that as a toxicologist, you would go through whole parts of a campaign where you're fighting constructs or golems or stone creatures or something, and you simply cannot poison them. So what do we have now? Well, the field benefit starts off the same. You can apply an injury potion with poison with one action rather than two. But there's more, so wait for this. Also, your infused poisons can affect creatures immune to poison. A creature takes acid damage instead of poison. And wow, did they need this so much. You can now go up to that construct and still do damage to it with your poison. Huge. The field vials is also huge. Rather than a D6 bomb, you get a D6 poison with no saving throw. No other, debuffs or benefits to it, but no saving throw. So remember, before and after. Before, you would have to hope you hit something, hope it fails its save, and hope it's not immune to poison. Now, you either use your versatile vial, quick vial option, and no saving throw. And also, doesn't matter if they're immune to poison. Or you use a consumable and, they still might succeed at their saving throw, but they'll at least take some damage, even if they happen to be immune to poison. And if that does work, you're using a pretty wicked poison in that case because you're using an actual consumable. Wow, you can actually reliably do something as a toxicologist now. It's all we wanted. And these changes, again, were just so needed for some of these subclasses. The bomber was already good, but now it won't run out of bombs. The Chirurgeon was already good, but now it has healing bombs and better in-combat healing abilities. The Mutagenist was pretty bad before, but now there are actually multiple reasons why a mutagenist would want to use a mutagen other than just what the mutagen says, and there's reason for a mutagenist and not other classes, subclasses, to actually use mutagens. And the toxicologist can actually damage just about anything you encounter now versus being quite stymied by the resistances and saves of creatures as it used to be. Each class is now equally strong, or about equally strong, I would say. Thank you, Paizo, for these changes. And I'm not even going to get into all of the new feats and things like that, but the last thing I'm going to talk about before we wrap this up is sort of the difference between advanced alchemy and quick alchemy, or your versatile vial options now. Because before, it was the same items you were using and sort of the same effects. It was just how you created them and how many you had that was different. But now, the way I see it is that advanced alchemy is a little bit like spells from spell slots, I would say. Because remember, when you're making a consumable, let's look at bombs and poisons, for example. A lot of those bombs that are in the formula book have damage plus debuffing effects. A lot of the poisons are damage plus debuffing effects, and those poisons will last multiple rounds and can have multiple exposures. So these I see sort of as your big ticket items that you bust out when you want to do extra special things in combat. Whereas I see the versatile vials a bit more like your cantrips. Yes, you can keep throwing bombs all day by using your versatile vials as bombs, but you won't do any debuffing effects, just pure damage and a little bit lesser damage with them. And then similarly with poisons, well, you can keep using your versatile vials as poisons, but these also don't have debuffing effects. It won't lead to paralysis or sickened or anything like that, and they won't stack on multiple exposures. But it does mean you can use these replenishables in smaller encounters and save some of the bigger ticket items for the bigger boss fights or when you really need them. And ultimately, you don't have to worry about having nothing to use in your encounters, as I often did playing as an alchemist. All right, adventurers, let's wrap this up. I know this is my first Player Core 2 video, but are we going to call it now? Is this the most improved class? I mean, maybe? The inventory nightmare, it was a nightmare. It is over. It's done. Thank you for that, Paizo. Each subclass can now compete. I may not agree with the method, but I do agree with the results. What do you think, adventurers? Was anybody else confused like I was, or is that just me? Anybody else actually want to play as a mutagenist now, or is that also just me? Let's talk about that in the comments. And until then, remember, new Pathfinder material doesn't always drop on a week where I unexpectedly have to work like 70 hours and then also have other commitments. But this material sure did.